Hi, Brandon Stevens here. I have a vital update for you on the Paycheck Protection Program and the loan forgiveness aspect. If you've received a Paycheck Protection Program or PPP loan, you need to know how to have your loan forgiven. Forgiveness is not automatic, so you will have to apply for forgiveness in order to receive it. Here's the information that you need so you can apply with your bank and receive forgiveness for your PPP loan. Today we'll review the 3 Small Business Administration loan forgiveness applications. I will cover the 6 key topics to understand. I will also cover payroll cost and eligible non-payroll cost, as these are essential concepts that you need to understand when you apply for PPP loan forgiveness. And at the end, I will explain what you can expect with the loan forgiveness submission process. The PPP Loan Forgiveness Application Form 3508S was released by the SBA on October 8, 2020. You are allowed to use Form 3508S if your PPP loan was amount of $50,000 or less. This form is a one-page application with a second page for demographic information, which is optional for you. Instead of having to show your forgiveness amount, calculations as required on the Form 3508 and Form 3508EZ, you simply certify 7 things initialing each item. If you do not qualify to use the Form 3508S, then you need to determine if you're eligible to use the 3508EZ. You can use this form if you experienced reductions in business activity as a result of health directives related to COVID-19 and can satisfy at least one of the following. Are you self-employed and have no employees? If you did not reduce the salaries or wages of the employees by more than 25% and did not reduce the number or hours of the employees. In order to qualify for Form 3508EZ, you must be able to certify at least one of the last 2 items on this page of the form. The new loan forgiveness application Form 3508EZ is 3 pages. Page 1 is the PPP loan forgiveness application. The top half of the form is information on your business and your PPP loan. The bottom half of the page has 8 lines that are used for calculating your loan forgiveness amount. Page 2 contains the certification. You must agree to initial each of the applicable certification items. Page 3 is a form that provides the SBA with your demographics. Page 1 and 2 are submitted to your bank. Page 3 is optional. A quick tip, a common mistake on line 7 on the form is to multiply. Remember, you need to divide by 0.60. Again, remember to divide by 0.60. The PPP loan forgiveness application was revised. You can use Form 3508 if you don't qualify to use either Form 3508S or 3508EZ. The original loan forgiveness application Form 3508 was revised on June 16, 2020. The new application is 5 pages. Pages 1 through 3 must be submitted to your bank. Page 5 is optional. Page 4 is for your records. Now, page 1 is the PPP forgiveness application calculation. Page 2 is the certification page, and you must carefully read and initial each of the lines. Page 3 is Schedule A. This is the page where you perform calculations, copy information from the worksheet tables, and then transfer certain amounts to page 1. Page 4 is the Schedule A worksheet. There are 2 tables of information that need to be filled in. Complete the salary and hour wage reduction column only for employees whose salaries or hourly wages were reduced by more than 25%. Page 5 is providing information on the borrower demographics. This is an optional page for you. Quick tip on page 1, a common mistake on line 10 is to multiply. Remember, you want to divide by 0.60. Again, remember to divide by 0.60. There are 6 key topics that you'll need to understand in order to apply for the PPP loan forgiveness. I'll review the covered payroll period and the alternate covered payroll period. These are dependent on where you applied for your PPP. I'll also cover what the SBA has determined is the cash compensation for each employee. Another important item is salary caps and how the SBA looks at full-time equivalents. There is a calculation method for determining this, and there are 2 safe harbors and a list of full-time equivalent exceptions to the SBA rules. The covered period begins on the date the loan proceeds are dispersed and ends 8 weeks from that date. If 24 weeks is determined to be the covered period, it begins on the date you received your PPP loan money and ends 24 weeks from that date. The alternative period is if you have biweekly or monthly payroll schedule, you may elect the alternative period. For example, if your loan was dispersed on August the 20th and the first day of your first pay period following receipt of the PPP loan is August the 26th, then the first day of the alternative payroll period is August the 26th. For each individual employee, the total amount of cash compensation eligible for forgiveness may not exceed an annual salary of $100,000 for each employee as prorated by the covered period. For an 8-week covered period, that total is capped at $15,385 per employee. For a 24-week covered period, the total is capped at $46,154 per employee. If a 24-week covered period applies for any owner-employee or self-employed individual or general partner, the salary is capped at $20,833 per individual. And if the borrower has elected an 8-week cover period for any owner-employee or self-employed individual or general partner, the salary is capped at $15,385 per individual. The calculation is used to determine whether your loan forgiveness amount must be reduced to reductions in full-time equivalent employees, FTEs. The actual loan forgiveness amount that you will receive may be less, depending on whether your average weekly number of FTE employees was reduced. You determine this by comparing the number of FTEs during the covered period or the alternative payroll covered period with the number of FTEs during your chosen reference period. For each employee for the appropriate period, covered or alternative covered, take the average number of hours paid per week, divide by 40, round the total to the nearest tenth. For this calculation, the maximum for each employee is capped at 1.0. The other method that's acceptable to the SBA is simply to assign 1.0 for the employees who work 40 hours or more per week, and 0.5 for employees who work fewer hours. For example, if an employee that worked 28 hours per week is assigned 0.5, this information is entered on the PPP Schedule A worksheet under the average FTE column. The SBA provides a safe harbor from reductions in forgiveness. It's based on the reductions in full-time equivalent FTE employees. For FTEs, they are unable to return to the same level of business activity prior to February 15, 2020. Due to compliance with requirements and guidelines between March 1, 2020 and December 31, 2020 by the HHS, the Health and Human Services, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, OSHA, the Occupation Safety and Health Administration, related to worker or customer safety requirements required by COVID-19. If you reduced your FTE employee levels in the period beginning February 15, 2020 and ending April 26, 2020, you then restored your FTE employee levels by not later than December 31, 2020 to the FTE employee levels in the pay period that included February 15, 2020. You are eligible for Safe Harbor 2, and you are not penalized and do not reduce your loan forgiveness amount. You are not required to reduce your loan forgiveness amount during the cover period for any of the following reasons. If you made a good faith written offer to rehire an employee and that offer was rejected by the employee and you were unable to hire similar qualified employees for the unfilled positions by December 31st, 2020. if you terminated an employee for cause, if you had an employee that voluntarily resigned, if your employee voluntarily requested and received a reduction of his or her hours, if you made a good faith written offer to restore any reduction in hours at the same salary or wages, but an employer rejected your offer. Any FTE reductions in these cases do not reduce your loan forgiveness amount. Now, payroll costs include the following: compensation that your company provided to employees in the form of salary, wages, commissions, or similar compensation. Payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave. Allowance for separation or dismissal. Payment of employee benefits during the group health coverage, including insurance premiums and retirement. Payment of state and local taxes assessed on the compensation of your employees. For independent contractor or sole proprietor, payroll cost is for wages, commissions, income, or net earnings from the self-employment or similar compensation. Eligible non-payroll costs that can be forgiven include rent or mortgage interest and utilities. Mortgage obligations on any business mortgage obligation on real or personal property. Rent obligations include business rent or lease payments pursuant to the lease agreements for real or personal property. Utility payments including electricity, gas, water, transportation, telephone, or internet access. All of these need to be in place before February 15th, 2020. And remember, eligible non-payroll costs cannot exceed 40% of the total forgiveness amount. The loan forgiveness submission process. You begin by applying with your bank online. Once the loan forgiveness application is received, your bank has 60 days to submit a decision to the SBA. The SBA has 90 days to make a decision and remit the forgiveness funds to your bank. If the SBA determines that any part of your application is ineligible loan forgiveness, your bank is responsible for notifying you. If only a portion of your loan is forgiven, or if the forgiveness request is denied, any remaining balance must be repaid on or before the 5-year maturity or the 2-year maturity of the loan. A PPP loan has a 5-year maturity if you received an SBA loan number on or after June 5th, 2020. A PPP loan has a 2-year maturity if the SBA number was received before June 5th, 2020, unless there is an agreement to extend the terms of the loan to 5 years. The PPP loans have an interest rate of 1% and loan repayments will be deferred for 6 months. It is best to become familiar with the SBA form that matches your anticipated PPP loan forgiveness. The forms, along with an explanation of each, can be downloaded from our webpage at www.brooksequipment.com/COVID-19. The information that can easily be transferred to your bank's website and electronically entered and recorded. You're required to keep copies of all the documents that you submit and all supporting documents. You're required to retain all documentation that you submit for a period of 6 years after the date the loan is forgiven or repaid in full. You are also required to allow an authorized representative of the SBA, including representatives of its Office of Inspector General, to access your files upon request. Thank you for your time, and as always, we're here at Brooks Equipment. We want to thank you for your partnership. Please let us know if there's any way we can help you preserve and defend your FED business.